If you're a consultant or marketer who hasn't hit consistent $10,000 months yet, this episode demonstrates it's possible by keeping it simple. It requires effort, of course, but you don't need to make it complicated. It's all about being persistent. Why are we talking about consistent $10,000 months on the podcast today? It's the launchpad to growing a service business with a team. $10,000 months unlock more cash flow to do things like getting more support in your business. It opens your mind to making consistent $20,000, $30,000, and beyond months. So tune in to hear the organic methods that have led this strategist to consistent $10,000 months. Welcome to the Small But Mighty Agency podcast. If you're a creative consultant or agency owner who wants to know what the roller coaster ride really looks like to grow your business from one to many, you're in the right place. My guest and I pull back the curtains on the realities of growing and running agencies of different sizes and what it takes to build a team. And if you're anything like me, you want more than the highlight reel. You want to learn from the mistakes of others so that you can stop short of making the same mistakes. I'm your host, Audrey Joy Kwan. I spend my days as a coach and consultant to multiple 6- and 7-figure agency owners. For the last 7 years, I've been behind the scenes helping people grow, lead, and operate small but mighty agencies. Here at the Small But Mighty Agency podcast, we'll uncover what works and, equally as important, what didn't work to get these business owners to where they are today. Welcome, Ray. This year, I've been speaking to marketers as they transition from solopreneur to agency owner, and I'm looking forward to diving into your story and highlights. Before we dive in, tell us a little bit more about you.
Hi, Audrey. Thanks for having me today. So my name is Ray, and I'm the owner of RW Digital. We're a digital marketing agency based in Metro Vancouver, BC, Canada. We focus more on the technical aspect of digital marketing, such as SEO, Google Ads, Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager. So my story, I started as a kid. My favorite brand was Nike, and I just really loved the creativity of their products as well as the commercials and print ads. And then fast forward into university, I study at SFU, which is a university in Metro Vancouver. I studied marketing and finance, and while I was in school, I kind of learned more about the advertising space, like advertising agencies through a career fair. So right away, I was kind of attracted to the idea of an ad agency. And then after university, I joined 2 agencies, digital agency in Metro Vancouver, with the hopes of learning the ropes and just the understanding of the ad world. And then I work in an in-house in the automotive space for a little bit as a digital marketing manager. And then in 2019, I decided to go on my own and started my agency. So when I started the agency, I had the intention of building a very community-focused agency, as well as a very positive work environment for the team.
Thanks for giving us your background. Today, I want to explore your journey from deciding to strike out on your own to getting to consistent $10,000 months and how that number has enabled you to start contracting out services to build your agency.
So when I started out, I already had like 10 years of experience. So there was pretty strong network in the business, or when I started out, like I had a pretty strong connections in my network. So off the bat, we were quite fortunate to gain quite a bit of referral projects for some pretty established businesses in organizations in Greater Vancouver. So we're quite fortunate for that. And then we also did some LinkedIn outreach. So one of the bigger accounts that we gained like couple months into the business was an automotive group in Richmond. So they carried luxury brands such as Audi and Jaguar. So when we first pitched to them, they were actually not thinking about switching, but a couple of weeks later, they said they're not really happy with their current agency. And then they just spoke with me and kind of like what I had to offer, and then they decided to switch over. So that was quite a large account for us at the time. And next, like we're quite involved with a lot of community engagement and webinars. So I'm very involved with the Richmond Chamber of Commerce. Like we were a finalist for Richmond Chamber of Commerce New Business of the Year award back in 2020. We're also involved with the BC chapter of the American Marketing Association. And then we also done like webinars for Richmond Rotary Club, Craft Council BC, and then we also done a lot of like kind of publications for Small Business BC as well as other business organizations. So I think collectively that really helped us gaining more clients.
It sounds like you hit the ground running with lots of visibility activities targeted to your warm network and just really getting out there and letting people know what you were up to. You mentioned LinkedIn being your social media channel of choice. Tell us about your approach to LinkedIn.
So for us, there's certain industries that we want to target. So previously, we've done a lot of work in the automotive space. So we would just try to find like decision makers, such as general manager, dealer principals. So that's kind of what we reached out previously, and then we've also done some engagement through for businesses in the hospitality industry, so hotels, convention centers, and things like that. So again, so those are also we try to find the decision makers, so general manager at a specific hotel or at the hotel as part of a hospitality group. So we would reach out to like their director of marketing for that group that manages that specific hotel or multiple hotels. So LinkedIn obviously is a little bit colder. The conversion rate is a little bit lower, but it's just the overall kind of a diverse outreaching program that we engage with. Like we have an account manager whose job is part of their job is to outreach to businesses, and they would follow this technique of outreaching to decision makers in industries that we want to target.
At a given point in your business, you tap out of your warm network and you've got to lean into new ways to reach people. Tell me about your account manager's role in your outreach. Did you hire someone with a track record in cold outreaches, or is this something you were already doing? Like you had a formula that worked for you and you trained someone to support in that formula?
So I would say a combination of both. So they have experience in this kind of outreach, kind of outbound sales field, but we also gotten consultation from like kind of outbound managers from other companies, like in tech companies or other kind of SaaS companies that do a lot of outreaching. So we've gone a consultation from them, and we got help from them in regards of the kind of like the template that we would use to outreach to businesses, and what are some kind of like pitfalls that we should look out for when we outreach, and how customized our messages should be when we reach out to businesses.
Of the strategies you've used in your first years, you mentioned LinkedIn outreach, referrals, webinars, and joining community boards and networks. What has paid off the most for you?
So I would say referral has been the most effective. I would say that during the last 2 years, I guess through pandemic, everything was locked down. So I would say almost 100% of our work was based on referral. So it has been the most effective because like there's already a demand. If somebody is a referral, then that person's already or that business is looking for a specific service. They most likely have a budget in mind and they know exactly what they're looking for. So a lot of in terms of the sales process, like half is already done. They're just looking for compatibility. They're looking for competitive rates. So that's something that can be discussed. But half of the sales kind of the process is already done because there's already a demand, and they're kind of being introduced to you. So typically the leads are a lot warmer. So that's kind of my experience so far. Like it has been the most effective. Community engagement, it's also in a way it's also part of that referral kind of approach, because like you build a network and then maybe 6 months, a year down the road, like somebody that like talked to a while back knows a business who's looking for digital marketing services, and then they will make that introduction. And then so LinkedIn is kind of additional work that we do, like just to kind of build some connections and interactions with some businesses. Like a lot of the businesses that we actually outreach to, they're actually on the East Coast because we physically cannot meet those businesses here. So a lot of the businesses here, like on the West Coast, a lot of them is through referral or just like kind of inbound leads. It's the businesses that we cannot physically see, like the businesses in Toronto and just on the East Coast. Essentially, those are the ones that were paying LinkedIn to get their contact information so we can contact them, or we even do Google Ads to run campaigns specifically, like just say in the downtown core Toronto or certain like more business kind of centric areas, because again, like we cannot physically see these individuals, so we will need to rely on digital marketing to gain traffic and leads through those areas.
Did you know that I have a coaching program called the Mighty Pod Model? In the High Touch program, we help our clients go from solopreneur to an agency owner so they can gain more freedom by having a service business where client work isn't dependent on them to scale. Maybe you started as a solopreneur with 0 people in your business. Eventually, you bring in an assistant and contractors, but you continue to hold on to the strategy and direct communication with your clients. Before you know it, you're at capacity. So what happens if you want to grow bigger? Meet the Mighty Pod Model. The Mighty Pod Model isn't just a business model. It's a high-touch coaching program that helps you go from solopreneur to agency owner with a profitable, streamlined, and strategic roadmap. If you're feeling like the bottleneck in your business, download our free Mighty Pod Model cheat sheet. Go to audreyjoykwan.com/free resources. That's audreyjoykwan.com/free resources, or click the link in the show notes right there in your podcast app to get the free Mighty Pod Model cheat sheet. Back to the show. Ray, tell us about a hard time you faced when you started the entrepreneurial journey. Did you ever consider giving up? What got you through?
I would say the very beginning of the pandemic, was it April 2020? I think that time like things were kind of locked down completely. So at that time we were only like 11 months into the business. So at that time there was a lot of uncertainty in the world and obviously in just in the digital space. So that time I wasn't very confident in terms of pursuing. But for myself, I pursued just because like for my I guess it's a little bit more of a personality thing. Like if I made a decision to start a company, like I'll probably go all the way, and which I did. And then in terms of like persistence, I think it's just I gain a lot of support within the community, so that also kind of add fuel in me to push me to continue my agency.
So how are things going today? How did your grit and resilience lead you to the present day?
I think right now, like we're still kind of in like a startup phase. So I'm still very involved in the implementation and kind of like account management aspect of the business. So yeah, so we're still kind of in a growing stage. But yeah, but overall we have a small team now, so I can offload some of the work to rest of the team members. So I think, and then in terms of work-life balance, overall, it's still, I would say for a person starting a company, it's pretty good. Like we get weekends off, so we don't have to check email all the time, and stuff like that. So I think for myself, like it's still quite healthy, like not really burning any late night oil or pulling any all nighters. So I think it's quite well rounded. Like right now, like quite satisfied with the quality of life, because it's quite rounded, and like we're not spending 120 hours on the business. So yeah, pretty healthy. Yeah.
What does your team look like and what are you focusing on right now?
Yeah, so right now we have an agile team of 4. So there's account manager and graphic designer, a copywriter, and myself. So myself, I'm more hands-on on the Google kind of product. So Google, it's like setting up Google Analytics for clients, creating dashboards and data analytics for clients, and then other businesses other roles, they fulfill what what copywriters and graphic designers have to do. So like kind of in terms of forming the team, like like I intentionally made it more very specific. So there's a lot more efficiency in terms of what they have to do. Like, so a graphic designer, they will only do graphic design, and a copywriter only does copywriting. And then the project we take on is very similar. So everybody takes on very similar work for their specific role. And then they just gain a lot of efficiency in terms of what they have to deliver. So overall, I think we run a pretty efficient team right now at this point, and then not really looking to grow at this point. Just want to make sure that everything is kind of run efficiently, all the quality, like the work is delivered with good quality, so we can continue to retain our clients and gain more referrals and testimonials, which can help continue to build the business further down the road.
Yeah, when you start a service-based business, there are different phases of growing it into an agency. You start doing all the work, it's only you. Then you reach capacity and bring in implementation support. You hit capacity again and you begin to build out what I call a pod. That's your first team of people who take service delivery, account management, and eventually strategy off your plate. Right now, you're overseeing all the strategy and still doing the service delivery. At what point do you see yourself stepping away from that? Is that in the vision? And if not, I get it. You're the entrepreneur. You build the service that fits your life.
I think I need to do some number crunching at that time. So right now, I think we have maintained a pretty good profit margin at this kind of pace and this like model. So if we were to add another person like full time or increase hours, then obviously it's either we need to bring more clients or build the same clients higher if we want to maintain the same profit margin. So, and obviously that's another person kind of to manage, not a stakeholder. So for myself, I would need to do some number crunching and some, I guess, some business modeling to see how that would pan out. But yeah, so for me right now, like it's the modeling right now has a lot to do with kind of like the profit margin and like what we're able to keep at this point, especially at this time of quote unquote like recession or uncertainty. Like preserving some sort of cash flow is quite important for all businesses.
Ray, may I ask, what is your margin right now?
Yeah, like I would say after you pay off everybody, you can retain like 20%. So the business keeps 20%. So that would be a healthy margin.
How are you keeping your margins healthy during the startup phase in your business?
Yeah, so we keep it by having a remote team. So that definitely helps. And I think we have received grants for some of our team members. So we like this is a government subsidy. So that also helps with our overall like minimizing our costs and or maximize or increasing our revenue to help pay for staffing. And then I think aside from that, like I think referrals we don't have to spend a ton of money on business development or other forms of like paid advertising because we're getting a lot of work through referrals. And then I think just gaining more efficiency with the type of work that we deliver, so we can maximize the number of projects that we do within a specific time frame. So like we don't do, like I said before, we do a lot of like SEO and like kind of Google Ads, analytics type of services. That's the type of services we offer. Like, but we don't do any branding or social media. So it's not like, so all the projects that we take on is very similar by nature. So we can deliver good work. So, but if we like just say if we were to do SEO and do branding, like I think there'd be a lot more learning curve. Then I think the work would be a lot less efficient, and then we would deliver fewer projects within a specific time frame. So, but right now, kind of everything is very similar. Like we have remote teams, so we're just keeping everything very kind of bare bones, trying to maximize our profit margin.
Yeah, you have a service niche and you stick to that service niche rather than branching out into scopes of work that require new expertise that cost time and money to learn. When you stick to your service niche, you can optimize and streamline your processes and workflow. And that isn't just efficient, but leads to a better product. That's a productized service agency model. And I'm a champion of that model. So what's next for you, Ray?
I think in my head right now, like I think we'll still continue offering this very similar type of services. And then in terms of the caliber of clients or the set of clients, we hope to increase. And with hoping to working with some national brands. So a lot of the brands that we work with are regional, but they're overall quite established kind of on the West Coast. But we're hoping to expand to more national brands. In terms of size of the team, I'll hire whatever it needs to fulfill like the tasks, but I don't really foresee myself kind of like expanding too much, like too quickly. So we'll still keep everything quite minimalistic. So that's kind of what I see then like kind of the next 2 years.
Thanks for sharing that, Ray. Before we wrap up here, what keeps you inspired and motivated?
So yeah, I follow like quite a bit of like advertising websites and social media. So like Adweek, like Strategy Online, which is a Canadian publication. So kind of seeing what other agencies have done and accomplished is quite inspiring for me. While even though I'm not necessarily a creative person, but when I see what other agencies have done for their like creative projects, what they have delivered for their clients, it keeps me motivated to kind of deliver, although a different type of service, to deliver quality work to our clients. And overall, right now, like our clients are, I think overall quite like nice people, like the managers and the CEOs, and overall like they're quite nice people. And then I like want them to do well in their business and in their industries. So that kind of keep me motivated in terms of delivering good work.
And Ray, where can people find you?
Yeah, so people can find me on Instagram. If it's a personal, they can find me on the Ray Wang. And then our company IG is digital.rw. And then on LinkedIn, and if you just search for RW Digital, you'll see our logo, and then you can connect with us there.
Thank you so much, Ray.
Thank you, Audrey.
Hey there, thanks for hanging out with me at the Small But Mighty Agency podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you hit the follow or subscribe button in your podcast app and share it with a friend. I'll see you on the next one.